She ain't fixing herself, so I have to. That's a stupid joke.
It is for free.
Thanks, buddy. The cowl project continues in this part 3, where I'll go over how I position the new parts and what to look for, drill locating holes, and fix all the rot on the lower cowl. If you're tuning in for the first time, this is an in-depth series on GM A-body cowl repair, being detailed as possible in case I ever have to do this again. GM A-bodies are prone to rotting at the bottom of the windshield due to the design. Check out parts 1 and 2 to see how we got here, and at the end of this video I'll preview what's coming next, so stick around. Alright, let's get after it. So we got this all cleaned up. There was some old sheet metal still up in that corner, so I got that out from the old cowl. So now it'll lay flat. I put the old one back on. I aligned it on that side to the previous holes, or I guess all the spot welds. I just put it back in the same spot. And then this piece that fell off, I repositioned it to the holes, clamped it. So now that this is in the original position, I took some measurements. So I measured here, then over there, and then I was trying to find a cross car measurement. So I just grabbed the inside here to the center of the screw, and I kind of did something similar over there, just on the corner to that screw. So then when I put the new one on, that should kind of tell me I'm in the ballpark cross car. So I'm going to pop this off and put that on. Oh, there we go. That's all you gotta do, just throw it up in the air and... Gracie, don't look at me like that. Right, get it underneath the cross. Come on. Piece of scheisse. After aligning the plenum to the previous bracket that was underneath, right here, kind of balancing the fit between left and right hand side, because nothing's perfect. Kind of had to just do like a little best fit, but it was super close. Did the same measurements from the old one as the new one, and as soon as I was confident this is where it was supposed to be, I went ahead and drilled 2 holes. Took this back off, and then I finished removing this bracket. Well, and took that other one off, but I just had that one clamped on that side. That way this could sit position that it's going to be. So I went ahead and just put a sheet metal screw in the hole that I drilled to that side, and I just aligned the hole that I drilled, locked it down instead of just putting another screw in, just in case I had to do some manipulating again, because these were underneath kind of holding it up, so it figured it may change a little bit, which it did, but like not much. So I ended up having just to shift this rearwards a little bit, locked it down, did the same measurements, and this is right where it's supposed to be. And did one of these actions to the screw, that screw, and did the same thing on the other side, where the windshield wiper mechanism will pop through. So I know I'm good cross car, and then the wampus and the locating hole left and right hand side for forward aft look really good. So I'm really confident this is where it's supposed to be right now. So we got this located. Now we can move on to kind of getting all the stuff underneath. Fixing the hinge pillar. I'm sure that side will need some too. As soon as I get that all doctored up, and maybe then we'll just work our way down and work on the less important stuff down there. For the windshield channel here, I think this was for a Chevelle, but for the Skylark, all of this has to be trimmed off to the back there. I already trimmed this side. And that's because I believe on Chevelles, this dash panel's different versus the Skylark and maybe some of the other A-bodies. GTO some of the videos I've seen. So that channel just comes straight across and then ends about here and doesn't have that extra piece going rearwards, which according to a feller on the interweb said it's for Chevelle. So that backside is hitting the dash panel, and it's just not going to work. So this is all going to get trimmed off the backside, and I kind of just put a paint mark just right on the radius there. So we get that trimmed off, and then we'll do a little dry fit, see how it looks. Yep, got her all trimmed up. There we go. Alright, try her out. This is 14 gauge. She's nice and thick. That's 14 gauge, pretty thick. Metal grinding. Hey there, little tech tip here. Just go up some boxes like this while you're doing your cutting. Then all your metal shavings will just be in one localized spot, and just come in after the job's done and clean her all up. It ain't much, but it's honest work. So I'm still kind of finessing the windshield channel. It's just kind of sitting in here a little funny, and I think there was still some old metal right here. Plus I got to replace that anyways. There was looked like Swiss cheese. Did a few light cuts on top because I knew you have the hinge pillar inner that I did not want to cut into, so I just wanted to get just the top part. So I just cut a slit right here, and then, well, you can see the general shape. Hit some good metal over here. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep working this piece up, and then I'll just put a patch panel in, and then that's just set a little bit more flat. So yeah, I'll finish getting this ripped out and try to make a patch panel and burn it in. Still trying to do some dry fits, mock this up how it's supposed to be. I put this on, aligned it how I had it, and then put the trim windshield channel on, and I just clamped it there, but yeah. This guy has to go like way down. That's the dash panel, it's supposed to go underneath it. Let me chat about this right quick and how I got it to fit. Out of the box, it's for a Chevelle, so it has extra material other A bodies like the Skylark just don't need. With a slow and steady approach, I trimmed a little more off the rear side and outboard ends and eventually got it to fit. Picked up the new windshield today at National Parks Depot. It's about 220 bucks. Fits really nice. It's a little bit smaller, I think, compared to the old one, just because we're kind of referencing the gaps here. But it should be big enough. And the size up down seems to be not too much different. Some cardboard doing like a little L shape, kind of mimicking some urethane. The curvature I think is better because now I don't have a half-inch gap between the glass and the bottom of the A pillar. And I was thinking I had some metal fit up issues here, but all my measurements from the old cowl to the new one, taking some reference dimensions from here to that screw, and then the fender hole to the front. And all I was doing, I took those measurements on the old one, replicated the same measurements on the new one. So that sets my measurements cross car and forward aft. Put the windshield channel on, that kind of sits right in these grooves, so there's really not too much slop side to side. I was measuring from that oblong vent to the edge of the channel and doing the same thing on the other side, and then measuring front of channel to edge of the firewall and making sure that was square. So I got that position really well, but on the old glass I was getting like a half-inch gap right here. So I didn't know if I had body dimensional issues going on that I just couldn't figure out, or if I had a parts issue in the glass. So it turns out there must be something going on with the old windshield, because this one fits very good. Alright, real quick. So I took the windshield off and just want to get a look at this here. I just drilled a hole and put a screw in to help hold this in one spot, so I know when this is all going back together, as long as that hole lines up, should be good to go. And I did the same on the other side here. So I got a screw here to kind of suck this down a little bit. I threw another screw in right here, so all that should line up pretty good. When going back together, and I measured. Where'd the tape measure go? Oh, it's all the way over there. It's a mile away. But measured from right here to this corner, and it was like 2 15/16, which is the exact measurement on the other side. So I know the channel relative to the dash is positioned well. And then another measurement that I took to, because I don't really know where the dash panel's sitting. There could be some variation in it. But I measured from the front of the channel here to the edge of the firewall. This is not a controlled surface, so this is kind of a take your measurements with a grain of salt and just make sure everything is relatively where it should be. If it looks okay, then it's probably okay. So my measurements on both sides are matching. The glass fits well, so I think we're good to go. So with the glass and the channel off, you can see the work that still needs to be done. So this is all rotted out. That's the lower plenum right here. It's rotted out. And then I cut out this section here and just put this one in. This replacement piece. So now that I have this in here and it's lining up with the old stuff, now I can kind of use this as a reference for when I... Hang on. Forgot to take this out. My apologies. So there's my new piece. That's off of some scrap metal I had laying around. All I did was put it between some 2x4s and bend it and try to match what we had going here. So it's pretty close. When this goes on, it'll get stuck together when we weld it. So any little bit of variation, we'll get that ironed out with molten iron. It'll be great. So yeah, I gotta do that all the way across because she is rotted. Yeah. No bueno. This is kind of swooping in the front, so I can't really just take one long piece. Might just do sections longer than that. Start grinding away, and that'll be the first thing. Get working on is putting some new metal in through there, and then we'll do some test fits, making sure everything's kind of aligning where it should be, and then we can finally burn it in as soon as we get to that point. May take some time. All right, show you what I got going here. This will be my replacement piece. That'll go right here. I'll clear up all this metal and just kind of spot weld it to it, and then I'll weld the bottom so it stays nice and watertight, and I'll treat the rust on the backside. I'll cut the top side in probably 4 spots, and that'll allow it to hug the contour. And all I did was I kind of took the same, because this piece seemed like it fit pretty well, so I just measured about 2.5 inches overall, and then I just threw it in here and just bent the snot out of it till I got it where I wanted, and it fits pretty good, I think. I think that looks pretty good. So yeah, I'm gonna cut this in 4 spots, then try to contour it, see how it looks, and then if that looks good, then I'll go ahead and cut the old stuff out. Got my piece here that I basically am doing the same dimensions as this, and I cut 4 slots in it that allow me to bend it around this curve slightly, and if I don't get enough bend out of it, I'll just have to make these a little bit wider. Going to just cut out some metal here. I'm going to leave a little bit, that way I can put some spot welds in it and then run a bead along the bottom. So go ahead and cut this out. There's some insulation and other stuff on the inside of the car, so we got to make sure that there don't catch on fire. Definitely don't want to cut into that, 5 minutes before you're going to go inside, and then wake up in the middle of the night and your garage ain't there, or the car. Okay, we're going to cut that out. So I went ahead, I put this here, and I matched the angle of the old material that was here. And then once I had that set, so I knew where the new material should go, because I had something to compare it to here and over there. I cut out the middle section, and then I put these slits in it. I kind of had to make a little bit extra clearance towards the top. That way I could kind of bend it, and it would follow the contour of the front here, because it's kind of curved. and then I can match this angle here pretty close. What I didn't want to do was just cut all of this out completely and have basically no idea how high that metal should come up and when it should start to turn rearwards. So what I'm going to do now is, because this is all still pretty flexible, I'm going to go ahead and got this screwed in to my hole that I made earlier, because I know that's the home position for this. And I'm going to go ahead and get this aligned and clamp down. I still have the old metal here and over there, so I'm going to clamp this into position, and then I can pull the new metal up and kind of give it a little bit of a finesse to try to get as flush as I can to this. And as soon as I'm happy with it, then I'll just go ahead and tack these, and then it'll be a little bit more rigid and won't flex when I put it all back together. Then I'll know that this piece is good, and then I can move on and do this section and then do that half. So here we go. So putting this on, this top edge where it kind of slides up underneath the dash was fighting this. So these are just a tad too long, so I just went ahead and just drew a line. And I'll probably take not even maybe a 1/4 inch off just the top. I'm gonna cut that back a little bit so this can fit better. So I cut just above the lip all the way across, and where I put the slits in, the metal was down a little bit, so I pulled them up right at the joint with some C-clamps, one on each side. Just put a tack on it to hold it in place. Now this piece, because it was kind of flimsy with all the slits in it, now it'll feel pretty rigid. So when I take it on and off, it'll go back in the same spot because I got screws holding it together underneath. And then I could keep doing dry fits, putting the lower windshield channel back on to make sure that when I'm clamping this together, it's not doing anything too funny to this to where it may impact the position of the window channel. I don't think it will, because when I was clamping this, it didn't move too much or at all. So that's looking good. Just got to repeat the process on both sides, get it all burnt in on the lower plenum, get it prepped and painted. That'll be set. Then the upper cowl or plenum can go on, and then the windshield channel. That's enough for tonight, and we'll get back at it next time. So I'm doing one last dry fit before I start burning in the metal in the lower plenum. Got the plenum on and got our holes lined up. The lower plenum is obviously rotted up underneath. So in this, maybe I've already talked about this, but this is kind of at an upward angle. So any moisture that's coming down is just gonna get in there, and that's what rots out this whole channel. So I just wanna do one last dry fit before I start welding in the new flanges on the lower plenum. Got the window channel sitting on top, pushed back as far as possible, and really this just sits on the upper cowl, and in the forward aft direction, when you push it back, it'll just run into the hinge pillar here, so it'll stop it. So really the only play that you'll have is this kind of cross car, and basically just lined up the center here and just kind of did the best fit and making sure this edge wasn't overhanging more than the other. Got the new windshield on, making sure our gaps are, I'm just feeling around, making sure it's somewhat level up on top, and this also looks level all the way across the bottom. And we're also touching all the way across, and as it comes over, there's a gap between here that's going to need filler, because there was filler in there originally that I had to grind out, and it's sitting right on the lower A-pillar on both sides. So I'm going to disassemble, take the windshield off, take the upper plenum and the windshield channel back off, and I'm going to go ahead and burn in the lower flange on the bottom, and then I will put these back on and make sure I put my screws back in. And I also got a screw on the windshield channel here and here. There's another one over there. Just make sure all that goes back in the same spot in case I'm welding that flange and it's doing something funny. I doubt it, but I'll do that just to make sure. So yeah, here we go. One more thing that was notable on this windshield channel, as it sits on the plenum, it's got an overhang right here. So I'm just going to trim this flange back just a little bit behind the plenum, and then I'm going to run a weld all the way across. That way I don't have to worry about any seam sealer cracking and moisture getting back in there. Should be a good permanent fix and keep any moisture out. So here's a look at the new flange. So I just had to go down far enough to get to good metal. I'm not going to do a butt weld. I'll just overlap it, grind the snot out of the metal to make sure I got no rust behind it. When I'm welding all this together, I'll throw some sheet metal screws in to pull it together a little bit better when I'm welding this on. So I should have a nice tight fit. Before this goes on, I'll have to either treat this metal or grind out as much as possible and get it painted. But making some good progress here. So I'm gonna go ahead and burn some metal in. A little crappy outside. Got the heater on right now. So I just sprayed some weld-through primer right where I'm gonna overlay the metal. That way it's nice and protected. To prep this, so I ground down as much rust as possible. I got it pretty darn clean. And then wiped it down really good with isopropyl alcohol. Make sure there's no contaminants on the surface. When sprayed my weld-through primer. So it says to let that dry for about 20 minutes. And then I also got my replacement flanges. Prep the back side of those the same way. And I guess while I got this off, I'm going to pop these off. So we're gonna go on the inside and see how those come apart. Cranked up the ISO on the camera, so picture quality is probably gonna look like crap, but I guess you can see what we're doing here. So you got those tabs right up there, and I think they just gotta be bent, and this thing should come down. So I think that tab right here, I just gotta bend it forward a little bit. And this one, you gotta bend it back a little bit. So I just bent all those straight down. Got this coming down. Once you drop down, a bunch of Utchies up in there. Let's see. Yeah. I wanted to get this down because that insulation, I didn't want a thermal event to occur. It's already caught on fire once welding. So I'm not sure how to fish this out of here. I might just have to stay right there. But I'm gonna try to get some of that debris out, and then just go ahead and start welding, and I'll play around with that later. So I got the top side of the flange all primed up, and I dropped the HVAC. I can't really get it out. I think I gotta drop the heater box. I'll get that at another point. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these on, hold them in with the screws. Well, I guess I'm gonna put some holes in here to spot welds. I'm gonna run a bead along the whole bottom. Let's get to it. So we got the welder warming up there, and we got the flange on here. Put in all my screws, and then I also added some other spot weld holes along it. Then I'll run the bead along the bottom. I'm gonna start kind of stitch welding, and then as it's kind of building up some heat, I'm gonna use a little hammer and dolly work to try to suck this metal in as much as possible, and continue that all the way down, making sure the ends match up here. I think we're good to burn her in. Alright, I've been welding for a little bit now. I'm jumping around trying to keep some of the heat out, and then as I'm introducing heat, I'm using the hammer and dolly to hit the next section and to suck it closer. Got the flange welded in. Turned out pretty good. Did a dry fit. Everything's looking good. Wire wheels and floppy disk, and trying to get off as much rust as possible. Which a lot of it's coming off. Probably down in here where it's a little bit harder to get to. I'll knock off the big stuff and use POR 15. And then in the other areas where the metal's clean, use some self-etching primer and just regular paint. Heater on so it's a little loud. Just want to make sure I got a decent temperature in here for the paint. So I'm going to hit the top with weld through primer. So this will be where the plenum will get welded to. Primer's on, gonna let it sit overnight. I got it warm in here, so it should dry pretty good. And then we'll slather some POR 15 on there. And then I got some windshield urethane. I'll probably pack these seams right yonder. Then I'll probably do up here after I get the cowl on. Do all that at the same time. All right, that's all we got for tonight. Since we got that, and this can come off. I think that stuff peels.